Once it's set up, girl, I'm like scrubbing. And it doesn't move. Hey guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video because we're talking blush. And we're not just talking any blush, we are talking blurring blush. And there have been a bunch of new launches, I'm looking at them here, that kind of claim to be blurring, and I also have a few other blushes in my collection that claim to be blurring, and I thought, why don't we talk about them, swatch them, do the whole thing in a video, because I feel like sometimes things just aren't blurring even though they claim to be. Sometimes things are super blurring and all that, so I thought it would be fun to do a video because I know a lot of people look for products that do blur the skin. So I just want to jump into this video and get started. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into this blurring blush comparison video. Blurring blush, let's jump right in. I'm excited. So I grabbed the ones in my collection that I could see that said they had blurring qualities or had kind of blur in the name. And that's kind of how I kind of did this. If you feel like there's some that I missed or ones that you want me to include, just let me know down below and I'll make sure to do a part 2 or add them in a different video. First blush we're going to talk about is this one from Lawless. This is their Lawless Pinch My Cheeks Soft Blur Cream Blush. And this one specifically is in the shade Starburst. I was really intrigued to get my hands on this when it first came out because it has a lot of claims. It claims it has like a soft blur, and it also claims it has that kind of more velvety feel. And I would agree with that. I'm going to do close-up swatches and all of that so you can kind of see it in action. But when you apply it, especially when you apply it with your fingers, but also with a brush, and you kind of blend it out, it does give this kind of like, it's not even matte. It's like, in my opinion, it's more of a natural finish, but it does have just a touch of kind of that matte look that blurring products tend to have, but it isn't flat by any means. It's very pretty. It blends out beautifully, especially when you blend with your fingers. When you blend with a brush, I find that I need to work a little bit more with it for it to blend out, because I feel like the warmth of your hands and just when you touch it, it kind of just blends out so much more seamlessly than when you use a brush. The brush still works. However, I kind of prefer with this one to do a combo of first tapping it out a little bit with my fingers and then going through and just kind of perfecting and all of that with a brush. This blush definitely has like a nice soft blur to it. It isn't the most blurring of all the blushes I'm going to talk about, but it definitely has like a nice, again, soft blur. It almost has, the way that it feels is it's almost like a cream to powder feeling, and which is kind of why I prefer using my fingers and then going in and kind of just doing a brush afterwards, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter what order, but that's kind of my preferred method to use with this. But it has that nice quality of a cream to powder where it just kind of, it's super thin and it just kind of gives you like a, dewy isn't the right word, I would say more of a satin finish. And by the end of the day, it is still kind of looking in that satin direction. By the end of the day, it has maybe a touch of dew to it, but on my cheeks, it's very, very minimal. I feel like that cream to powder really lasts all day and also really makes the soft blur work really well with this. And I actually really enjoy this formula. And if you're looking for something that is more of a cream where you don't want like a full blurring effect and you just want a little bit of something and you want something that lasts really nicely throughout the day, again, just by the end of the day, there's some fading if I don't use a setting spray or something like that, or even setting it with a powder. But beyond that, this is a great product. Again, not the most blurring, but very nice. Next up, we have these from Soshe. I've already done like a full review on my channel. Now, these are very interesting formula-wise. These are also another kind of cream to powder formula. This is the Soshe, their Blurring Pillow Blush. This is one of the most unique formulas I've used in a blush. So this is it. This is the shade Speakeasy. The next one I have here is one that this one is just breathing life into me lately. This one is this shade Berry Smitten. And it, again, all of these have that cream to kind of powder formula, but the actual way that it feels when you touch it is very unique. So this one right here is the shade Rosy Reset. And then we have the shade here, which is Copper Spice. Right, the one that I'm gonna grab right now is Berry Smitten. This one is so stunning. So the Soshe blushes definitely are blurring. They have that same cream to powder feeling or formula as the Lawless one, but they don't, when you blend it out, it doesn't have a dryness to it that the Lawless one does have, because this formula isn't quite as wet. When you initially dip your finger in, it isn't quite as wet, whereas the Lawless one is more wet feeling, whereas the Soshe blushes have more of a soft feeling to them. It also has kind of that putty look or feeling to it. Look at it. You see, you just press your finger in, and then you can kind of fix it if you want to fix it. But the formula, the feeling of it is like putty, but it also cream to powder, but it's not wet to dry. It's almost like soft to dry. And I know that sounds insane. It's like a more velvety feeling product when you first touch it, and then it goes to kind of that powder finish, which is really nice. Again, it really, I don't know if I've said this, so I'm going to say it again. It really does blur, which is amazing, because I always have been skeptical of cream products that claim to blur. Even if they are cream to kind of powder in general, I'm always like, okay, but like, how? I personally really like to apply this with a brush, but you can apply it with your fingers too, and it blends really nicely. I just kind of prefer in general to use a brush over my fingers, even with most stuff, unless it's something that goes really wet, like the Lawless, to dry, because then I like to use kind of a combo. But with this one, it's really easy to just use a brush. It blends out like a dream, which is really nice. Very, very pigmented. Okay, especially, which ones? Let me grab the right ones. Yeah, these two here, I mean, they're all pigmented. These two here, this one here is Berry Smitten, this one here is Copper Spice, and they last all day. They leave, it's not even like a stain, but they do, like, it really holds on to whatever's underneath it, which is great. And I mean, you can, from me like dipping my finger in and stuff, you can definitely see remnants, if you will, until you go in with like a washing your face, micellar water, oil cleanser if you want, cleansing balm, something like that. Usually you have to go in with something to fully remove the product. It's still on by the end of the day. It is by far my favorite cream, like cream to powder formula and blurring blush formula that's in a cream form that I found. It is amazing. Next up, we have this one from Caliray Beauty. This is their Blurry Blush. And this one made me nervous at first because it is one with like a doe foot applicator. And I was like, okay, what do you mean you blur? But I'll put some on the back of my hand. I'm gonna make sure to have swatches so that you guys can see. But at first you're kind of like, wait, there's no way that this blurs. But once you blend it out and once it sets up, which it does take a little bit longer than the Lawless or the Soshe to set up, you do have a soft kind of blur. Soshe is the most blurring. Then I would say the Lawless one is next, because the cream to powder that it does have, because the Caliray Beauty, their Blurry Blush, does have a cream to powder kind of claim. It is kind of a little bit more wet. So it takes a little bit, but once it sets up, You definitely see it's set now, and you can see it does have a soft blur quality to it, but I would say that it isn't quite as thin as the Lawless or the Soshe one. Still gives you a blur, still kind of has that kind of soft matte look to it. Almost more of a like a, yeah, I would say soft matte kind of look with like a touch of a little bit of something. But once it sets up, let me just show you. Can you see? Look at how quick this is to remove. This one does not move. Look at, once it's set up, girl, I'm like scrubbing. And it doesn't move. So in terms of longevity, I would say that the Caliray one of all of these is the most lock onto your skin, does not move formula. In terms of like the cream products, the Soshe one is the most blurring of the cream ones. I would then say the Lawless one is, because it is drier, if that makes sense. The cream to powder is drier on this one, and more immediate on the Lawless than it is the Caliray one. The Caliray one still has a blur. It is really nice. The wear is wild on this one. And I mean, as you can see, she doesn't move. Like, she's there until I get my cellar water or cleansing balm or something like that. But it is a little bit thicker, and so it takes a little bit more time to set down. And because it is a little bit thicker, I feel like the blurring quality, although it blurs, is slightly less than the other two, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm being clear, but to me, it is, of the cream blurring options, the least blurring, especially of the two soft blur ones. It is the least blurring, but the wear is bananas on this one. I mean, you saw what happens once it sets up. It literally doesn't move, and if you don't move fast enough, like I tried to remove it fast enough, I did not remove it fast enough. So this will be here until I go and fully kind of remove everything from my hands. But it is a really nice formula. It is a very comfortable wear. Again, just a little bit thicker than the others. And I would say just slightly less blurring than the Lawless one, and definitely less blurring than the Soshe one. But again, it claims to kind of be more of a soft blur, whereas the Soshe one, I feel like, is more of a full kind of blur. A little bit more, it's not like full aggressive matte blur, if that makes sense, but it is the most natural looking blur product I've used on my cheeks that isn't a powder. Really, really nice. Now we're going to move on to powders. There were a few, these are all actually new launches within the last couple months. Oh my gosh, my leg is asleep. And you know when you get pins and needles from crisscrossing your legs, or is that just me? But I always get pins and needles when I cross my legs, and I don't know why I do it to myself every time. Anyways, now we're going to move on to these products I've talked about. These are newer launches. The first one is the Tower 28, and this one is their Get Set, their powder blushes, and these are matte. So I have 3 shades here. This one is the shade Samo Spritz. And I will say, with these ones, they definitely have a blurring quality to them because they are a matte product, and anything in general that is matte does have some good blurring qualities to it. So it definitely has that. What I will say is, depending on the shade that you get, you might feel like it's a little bit more chalky feeling, and chalky sounds negative, and I don't mean it to sound negative because it isn't. I actually really like this formula, but it does have a very powdery feel to it, but it is a matte product, and in general, not all matte products are going to have that more soft feel to them. This one doesn't have that soft feel to it, but it is a very nice formula, but it also depends on your skin type. So then we have this one, which is Sautelli Slushy. Very pretty. And then this one, which is, I love the shade so much, and it's so boring. Like, look at that. You're like, girl, please. But it's really, really pretty, I swear. This is Long Beach Iced Tea. I always say Long Island Iced Tea. Can I get a grip? Long Beach Iced Tea. And they have like a nice matte feeling to them. Now, once you blend it out, it has more of that kind of soft feel to it. It's more the initial tap in, even if you're just swatching with your finger or tap in with a brush, it feels a little bit more powdery. So kind of hence it has more of a chalky feel to it, if that makes sense. But I have never had an issue really with these products kind of bunching up or skipping or anything. I do find that this does have a blurring quality. Again, I do feel like one of these other blushes I'm going to talk about is more blurring, which is surprising because it is not matte. However, this does have a nice blurring quality to it. And I do think that with products like this, if you do have it and you didn't like it, it might be the brush. And I know that's like, oh, that's annoying. But I have found that certain brushes work better with formulas like this and this one than others. I like something that is a little bit less dense brush-wise, and where the bristles themselves are a little bit on the looser side. And by looser, I mean there's just, they kind of have a little bit more give to them, if that makes sense. I dip in and then apply. I don't like to press super hard on my cheeks. I don't like to hold down super far down on the brush, because let me tell you, some formulas, this is one of those formulas, do not do that, because you can get some patchiness if you do that. If you press too hard with the brush, if you're holding too far down on the brush and you're putting too much pressure, you can have, not that often, but you can have some patchiness with this if you're applying multiple layers, if that makes sense. If not, and you're only applying one, I really don't have an issue with that. But if I am layering it up, I do make sure to kind of hold the brush towards the back. But I really like this. Again, it's a nice blurring blush. It is more on the matte side. My favorite kind of formulas for a powder blush are not matte, even though, no, I do have some that I really enjoy that do give me a nice kind of look to the cheeks, but in general, I like a powder blush to have a little bit more life to it, if that makes sense. Some sheen, a little bit of something, because that's just my favorite type of formula. Next up, we have another powder blush. This is from Saie Beauty. This is their Super Suede Radiant Blush Powder. This is in the shade Mia, and this is more of a baked blush formula. And I was unsure because this has a sheen to it, and I don't know why I just dropped that. This has a sheen to it, and so I thought for sure, no way this is really gonna blur. I was wrong. It does have some blurring kind of quality to it. The way that it applies, it just almost like skates, and that sounds crazy, but it almost like skates over imperfections or a little bit of texture or something like that. And it does, although it has a sheen to it, it doesn't really exaggerate what it's on top of. And because it's not a very dry feeling powder formula, it doesn't accentuate stuff. I feel like stuff that is more on the matte side or more on the dry feeling side, and I don't know if that makes sense the way I'm describing it, but on the more dry feeling side does accentuate and doesn't blur, whereas this one definitely has a nice little bit of blur to it. It isn't the most blurring by any means, but it does have kind of a little bit of a soft blur to it, which is great. That I really like this formula. It's very beautiful. The shade Mia is stunning. Look how pretty. I just love her. Very pretty formula. Very comfortable wear. Wears very, powder in general just lasts all day. At least on me it does, and this one is no exception. It lasts really, really long. There are other powder blushes that maybe last a touch longer, but it isn't anything that by the end of the day it's gone off my face. It is just maybe a little less intense, but overall this is a great product, and if you want something that has a little bit of a sheen to it, but that also gives you that kind of a little bit of a soft blur, this is something that I would definitely check out. It's really nice. It's very lightweight. It doesn't feel powdery on the skin. It's very light, and the way I like to apply it is, again, just touch into it, and then just, I always, it doesn't matter what it is, if I'm applying powder to my face, holding the brush at the end. I don't care if it's bronzer or what. Brush at the end. And I just kind of lightly apply it, and it just, the pigmentation is there. It is really pretty, but it isn't so pigmented where I feel like I'm fighting for my life. It is very, very nice. And overall, again, if you want a little bit of a blur, but you don't want something maybe as blurring, this is a really nice one. And by the end of the day, I do feel like the blurring quality is still there. Next up, we have one that I didn't think was going to rock me the way it did. But this is the ILIA, their Soft Focus Blurring Blush, and this is in the shade Wonder. I did just get a second shade, and I've been using it for the past couple days. She's on my cheeks. I love this blush. So this formula is very interesting to me. When you touch the actual powder, it doesn't feel super powdery, which is really interesting. And the way it applies is similar to the Saie one and similar to other kind of more baked style feeling blushes, where they kind of almost like skate over texture, which I know sounds crazy. I have eczema on my face always, and especially around my eyes and just in general, and this doesn't cling to that or any texture from, let's say, an acne mark or a zit or something that's like dry because I picked at it, because I am the worst. It doesn't exaggerate it. It's a very interesting formula, and this lasts all day. What's on my cheeks today? All day. Gonna be on all day. I really, really like this formula. I don't know if I said the shade, actually. This is the shade Wonder. This shade is absolutely stunning. The way that it feels is really nice. The longevity is there, and I do feel like it, of the powders today, this one, in my opinion, is the most blurring. And it is the one that I feel like is the most forgiving and pigmented, which is a very interesting combination, that it's the most forgiving, but it's also the most pigmented. Even though the Saie Beauty one is also pigmented, but this one just packs a punch in a way that I did not know I needed from a blurring blush. But this is beautiful, lasts all day. It does have, like, it's the most interesting, my fingers are so stained. This is the most interesting feeling formula because it's not super dry at all. This definitely is kind of in that same vein of the Saie Beauty one, where it isn't so dry where you're like, okay, you're sucking the moisture out of the air. What am I, SpongeBob in that episode?
I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I 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 need it!
It's just really nice. And I would say, of all these formulas that I'm talking about today, my two favorites for blurring blush, the ILIA, their soft blurring blush, and the Soshe, their blurring blush, or what is the full name? Blurring Pillow Blush. Yeah, Blurring Pillow Blush. Both of these are the most blurring ones that I have really noticed, that are kind of formulas that I really enjoy, that aren't just something that's matte. Not that I don't enjoy a matte, but in general, I like something for a matte that has I still really enjoy the Tower 28 one, but something that has more of that baked feeling to it, even if it is more on the matte side. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's a little bit more of a softer feeling powder whereas the Tower 28, the powder doesn't feel quite as soft feeling. And I don't know if it's because of the way it's packed in the pan. It still feels soft. It's just a little bit more, maybe it's the word I'm looking for is dry. It's a little bit more dry feeling, which isn't a bad thing, but it is something that in general, I kind of prefer something that is slightly less dry feeling. And yeah, that is it kind of for my blurring blushes. So again, these ones I would say are the most blurring. Then the soft matte ones would be the Caliray and the Lawless, as well as the Saie. I would say that the Tower 28 one is somewhere in between, in my opinion. So more blurring than the soft blur ones, but less blurring than the other ones. And I don't know if it's just because it's more of a matte. So in my mind, it's a slightly less blurring, even though mattes tend to be blurring. I always kind of find that matte powders sometimes are not quite as blurring as, let's say, the ILIA powder. Yeah, that is it for my blurring blush video. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Which one's your favorite blurring blush? Have I missed any that you want me to talk about? Which one's your favorite? Which is your favorite shade? And also formula, because I'd love to know what you guys love to use. I do want to do a blurring kind of powder video, just a setting powder video. I'd love to do that. So if you have any suggestions for ones that you definitely feel like I should include in that, let me know down below. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. Oh my gosh, look at my fingers, are so stained. Bye guys.